Hello and welcome, and today's date is Wednesday. It's the 30th day of May 2018. My name is Derek, and I'd like to welcome you to the Crypto Day Morning for today. And today's episode, I really want to talk about this pattern here on the Bitcoin chart. But before we get into it, let's take a look at this on a daily chart. And note, what are the things that I see here that is important? It's in a downtrend. It has resisted the 18 average of band situation, the 18 average of lows, and really the close is not shown on here. It'd be aligned near the middle once, having a decent leg lower thereafter. So now it's back again. It's barely there. It's at the 18 of lows, for it could come up to around 7,900, which is a big Fibonacci point. That is the 23.6% level from the $6,000 lows and the $20,000 high. So that is a big level that coincides. So even on a bearish level, coming up to 7,900 is like, yeah, that makes sense. And bullish level, it's getting to 7,900 before it gets to 10,000. That is mathematically guaranteed. So, yeah, it could easily happen. So just because you think this is a bearish move, I do give it credit to go into an area which was previous support, which would be the 18 average of highs, and which would be a key Fibonacci level. Okay, so now what I want to do is go back to that single hour time frame, because that pattern on there, really interesting one. Because we're only really looking at how it has managed to handle that rally. And again, we're looking at 7,900 as a price objective. So mathematically speaking, if I see a move come from like 7,000 up to 75 and then correct from a support level of 74, then a move to close to 8,000, 79 change doesn't surprise me at all. No, by no means. That would be a typical leg higher. When I say typical, and this means, I means right where you would expect. It could be a little less, could be a little more, somewhere right in the middle, or an average median one. That's another better way of putting it. But when a big move happens, either up or down, it's always going to be the question, how are you going to handle such a move? Well, the big move happened originally to this high, then at least within that hour pulled back. And I want to take a look at this on a 15-minute time frame just so I can see. It didn't pull back much, but what happened after this move is it obviously established a huge level of support. Hit originally, hit very quickly thereafter. A little bit of time came by, it came to it again, but it wasn't there long. It almost got there. When you say something like that, it almost got there within it, that means it's making a good job of making higher lows. But meanwhile, this is a situation where it has had this major level of resistance, showing a lot of strength on a bullish level within how this market is handling itself right now. So back to the single hour time frame. This is like a photograph you can take. Well, print screen, whatever. But the way the last few periods have looked, I look at this as another way of hugging the 18 average of highs, because it hasn't done its objective it needs to do, which is break resistance and then establish a new leg higher. And we've already came up at the start, that's 79 to 8,000, but 7,900 and change to 8,000 would be the intended target. But it's giving you that bullish setup and strength amongst the 18 average of highs. And this to me states that we're probably soon going to have a decent sized move. If it's to the upside, I'm not going to say it's going to be as big as this, but don't be surprised if it's a good move to the 79 level. And when a setup looks really good, and especially if it looks like this, if this does get rejected, I'd expect at least a red candle of this size to reject it, which would again would take it at first down to this low. But overall, whenever you're in a range, you clearly know what the range is. You expect when the range gets broken to have a decent sized move to what you would find as the intended target, about 7,900 to 8,000 up here. And in here, I'd be looking for support at about roughly around here, 7,200 and change, if it goes down to the downside. Let's quickly look at some alts, starting off with Golem or GNT on the daily term time frame. Here's a situation in which it's after just correcting within through time, catching up with the 18, it has managed to attempt to break out above this level. When we take a look at this on a shorter term, at the 100-minute or the 1 hour time frame, it established this level of resistance first at about the 30 or the 73.47 handle, and then this nice move again at 75.49. That wasn't that large of a leg higher, and it comes back down to this area as we've seen before. But notice what we're seeing here, a couple periods where it stays within the 18 average of highs. Before that, it had that bullish situation where the price went down, but it closed close to where it started, and now just breaking out, leaving the 18 average of lows. And if you want to just draw lines to where the key highs are, which is another cool thing of doing it too, it looks something like that. So that looks pretty interesting, to say the least. And let's next take a look at Cardano, which is up 4.72% for the day. It managed to go to the 18 average of lows yesterday, today up to the 18 average of highs on a single hour time frame. Interesting how this 18 has been playing into form after it left off as support from the 2600 handle. It had a huge move, but this was a very violent higher low price correction that so far has been successful. Two nice green candle moves up, but it's still not at this high. So we're looking at a situation here where you have a move on this time frame. Oftentimes you got to realize that key highs are going to have an interesting lower high before they break down, but it's a 1 of 2 case scenario every single time. As okay, we could very easily have a spot. Let me just do this first. So we could very easily have a spot where this is a lower high, where it goes like this, comes into the band, and then it just falls. Yeah, happens often. When you have a nice uptrend like this, a few turns of or a few times of supporting this like such, and it falls. But if the 18 average maybe does something like this, oh, we have established a huge level of resistance. And then that happens. So either way, it can work out to that point, which is why it's always important to adjust to what the message of the market happens to be telling you. And let's finish this up with Litecoin against the dollar, as it's barely above its 18 average of lows, pretty much the same thing as Bitcoin. In the decline, it's obviously got a lot of work to revert the trend, but bullishly or bearishly having a move come up to the 130s. There's nothing unordinary about such an occurrence. Single hour time frame. You looking at the pattern? I think I want to look at this on the 30-minute even. What we got here is major resistance at about $1.22. Multiply 100, 122. Or $1.22 for 0.01 Litecoin. Yeah, how about that? So all these levels of support have held very nicely. But the name of the game for the last 5 or so periods, since the last reach of the high at 6 in the morning, 5 periods. Yeah, 5. It could be 6, it could be 7. It doesn't matter. This tells me it's doing a very good job within such. It's showing a more bullish than bearish short-term signal. And So now you're looking at the situation, where do we go from here? Well, this to me equals a big move should come in, because it's either you're breaking resistance and you're going to have a very nice move to the upside, or at very least you're going to make to the bottom end of this range if this ultimately doesn't work out. So we've already seen that the price target on a breakout above is about 132. I would be looking at around this 114 area, 113 to 114, to be where support would come in based on its range, because it's the exact same. Now, in defining the support of this range, because it's been making several ranges of higher lows, there's three. There's one at 118, there's one at 119, and then the current one in at 121. But 121, just throw out. But on a break of really 118, then that could be what I'd be looking at as a decent $4 drop maybe. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.